Hey everybody, thanks for tuning in. This is George Connolly with Scratch Golf Tips, and today we're going to be looking at the golf swing of Scottie Scheffler, major champion, multiple-time winner on the PGA Tour, and obviously world number one formerly. He may take it back. I wouldn't be surprised if he did. Obviously, Scheffler has an interesting move, not one that is necessarily teachable, but there are absolutely aspects of it that are teachable and some notions of the golf swing and the mechanics that certainly can be learned from when looking at Scheffler's move. So the first thing to obviously look at is what is most commonly noticed about Scottie Scheffler's swing, which is the foot slide, that right foot, that trail foot sliding forward, beginning right before impact, and then the sliding continues as he comes through the ball. One thing I do want to note about this is a move that you may see from someone who's very new to golf. The big difference between that person and one of the greatest golfers in the world right now, Scottie Scheffler, is Scheffler is always very balanced through the follow-through, which is actually pretty difficult to do when shifting the weight like he does in sliding. But unless he's doing one of his crazy follow-throughs, which we'll talk about later on, he's always so balanced. And the result of that foot slide is because in the takeaway here, you can see it very well from this caddy view. He takes, there's so much power and pent-up energy in that takeaway. He's so flexible and long. All of the power comes rotationally in that takeaway. So once the transition starts and right before the release of the club and the impact of the ball, at that point, all of his power and all of the generation of power, the work is done. So basically, all he has to do is come through the golf ball with the hands. And then because all that work is done, that back foot just kind of goes limp and slides through the golf ball because he doesn't need to continue to push off of that like some of those other golfers who are a little bit smaller in stature who really leverage the ground through impact. Scheffler does not do that because he's a big guy, strong guy, obviously super flexible as we can see at the top of that backswing. So that's the reason why Scheffler has that foot slide, because the work is really done before that, before that foot begins to slide. So if that sounds like your swing, then you can try and do it. I wouldn't really say, hey, next time you're at the range, start sliding your trail foot. That's not really how it works. I'm sure this is just a result of what Scheffler's mechanics already were. This isn't necessarily something to implement, but when doing a swing analysis of Scottie Scheffler, you certainly can't overlook it. Next, let's talk about the takeaway and the move through transition. I've done some swing analysis of golfers who don't have high hands through the swing. I talked about Nelly Korda, Max Homa, who certainly aren't flat through the swing, but they don't have their hands as high as a Justin Thomas or a Xander Schauffele, or, as we see here, a Scottie Scheffler. Scheffler has the high hands, which allow for a lot of power, creates a great deal of width through the golf swing, which is pretty consistent among some of the world's best ball strikers. And he also has a very upright, tall swing plane. He uses his posture to benefit the swing plane. And, on the screen right now, you're seeing a few different shot shapes, and no matter the shot shape, those hands are staying high. Obviously, with the draw, they might come in just a little bit lower because he has to flatten out the golf swing, get that plane to where he needs it to be. And we'll talk, again, a little bit about his shot shaping later on, but having those high hands and having an upright swing plane is always a safe bet for a teachable golf swing. And I know that the sliding of the foot is certainly an odd quirk of the swing, but you look right before the sliding of that foot, and it's just such a beautiful technical golf swing that it almost reminds me of these older, like the Jack Nicklauses, who just have this powerful big man power in their golf swing, and it really does come from that positioning at the top of the backswing. So there's a lot to like about that aspect of Scheffler's swing, and I think that's actually kind of often overlooked in Scheffler's swing because so many people focus on the footwork, but that aspect of the swing is certainly not to be overlooked. I'd also like to talk about Scheffler's shot shaping and the way that he can adjust his swing and follow through to match that shot shaping. It's certainly exaggerated compared to a standard golfer, but it's something to absolutely learn from. So if you've watched Scheffler on TV coverage, especially when he's hitting a larger draw, which for the right-handed golfer like Scheffler is a right to left flight, you've probably seen him have some pretty awkward finishes where he really swings that club all the way across the body. He kind of turns the hands over, the right wrist collapses in order to encourage a more strong release at the ball, which creates that ball flight. It can look awkward, but he is a great shot shaper. Here you see him hitting a low draw. He does, you can absolutely notice the strong right hand coming through the ball, which will allow that club face to shut down. And when that club face shuts down, then you get a really exaggerated ball flight, which is something that Scheffler has learned to do pretty well. This is also something that Justin Thomas does, but he looks very different when he does it. You don't see Justin Thomas have those finishes, but Justin Thomas can really hit that sling draw well. It's what helped him win the Players a few years ago. So, and then on the fade, you almost see kind of that Arnold Palmer-esque follow through where the hands come up a little bit over the head. It is obviously the antithesis of the draw follow through that Scheffler has because, you know, if you want to hit a big fade, you got to do the opposite of what you have to do for a big draw. But again, what is very important to note about all of this, all of these funny positions that you may see him go through, whether it's through transition, in the follow through on some of these dramatic ball flights, is he's staying balanced. And he's staying balanced in positions that very few people can. And I think that just comes with a lot of practice and patience. And that leads me into the real beauty in summation of the Scottie Scheffler golf swing, which is that it's one of the few times that we've seen someone with a fairly exploratory, dare I say, spontaneous golf swing, certainly not teachable in its whole. There are many things to learn from, but you can't say, hey, let's swing the club like Scottie Scheffler now. That you just can't do it. It's one of the few swings that we've seen garner incredible ball striking consistency and, you know, domination of the golf world. If you see what Scottie Scheffler did in 2022, he was without a doubt the greatest golfer in the fields he played in. He was to be feared, and again, he's a young guy, ripped up the Korn Ferry Tour to get to the PGA Tour. I think there's a lot of success in his future. The golf swing itself, you know, he maintains great posture, great spine angles. So obviously you can't predict someone to go injury-free, but it certainly isn't a swing that is conducive to injuries down the line. So I like Scottie a lot. I think there's a lot to learn from the swing, while it may not be a teachable swing all in all. But I hope you guys learned something from this. I'd love to hear your thoughts on Scheffler's swing. I know that, as with all of these swing analysis, I see things a little bit differently than you all do. So leave any thoughts down below, anything you agree with, disagree with, or things that I may not have addressed. I'd love to see your comments down below. If you enjoy content like this, please leave a like rating down below. It helps YouTube show this content to more people who will find it helpful. It also shows me that you're enjoying this type of content. The past few that we've done, you guys seem to have really enjoyed on Nelly Korda and Max Homa, so we're going to keep them coming. If you want to see more content like this, you can subscribe to the channel to see all of our future uploads. If you like these swing analysis as well, you can go into our playlist tab and go through player analysis, and we have all of our swing analysis and game analysis in that tab. So you can go through all that and watch it if you're enjoying this type of content. As always, thank you all very much for watching. Play well and take care.